Hey everybody, Eric here with a random Sunday video. This is going to be a little self-indulgent because I'm going to be talking about myself. Basically, I want to talk about my channel and me and what I do and why I do it, and a little bit of a history lesson, I suppose. Just after a certain video that I watched on YouTube, I just decided to do this. So I don't know. I have no plan for this. I'm just sort of going sort of off the top of my head. Uh, but since my channel is mainly about books, there's the rare exception, not so much anymore. I'll start with, obviously, I'm a reader. I'm a book lover. Always have been. I was grounded a lot as a child. And since way back then there weren't home video games and cable TV and all of that stuff. I didn't have a TV in my room where I was grounded, so it was reading or staring at a wall. So I did a lot of reading. And back in 1985, here's my original folder. I started keeping a list of every book that I've read. Some people have already seen this if you've watched my Reading Remembrances videos. And I just checked the notebook that I'm currently filling up. And since 1985, I have read 3,441 books. Now, to be fair, there's quite a few repeat books in there. So every time I read something, I write it down. So there are books that are in there 6, 7, 8 times. Those books that I've read, obviously, over and over again. And there's one thing that I wish wasn't in there. I did put Watchmen. I read the collected edition and put it in there. That's the only comic book that's in there. So it's sort of an outlier. But 3,441 books. I really wish I had started keeping a list earlier because, that's 19 years worth of 18 years worth of books that weren't getting written down. Now, I know I was reading a lot of, obviously, young adult stuff, kids stuff, the Danny Dunn series, things like Encyclopedia Brown, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Started reading Stephen King in the time before I was keeping that list. Probably my first H.P. Lovecraft, things like Edgar Allan Poe, Dean Koontz, just tons and tons of stuff that I obviously don't even remember. But, yeah, so I'm a book lover. I think that's always been apparent. And again, if you watch my Reading Remembrances series, I'm going through everything on that list from 1985, month by month. And even I'm surprised by some of the stuff that comes up. So I started this channel basically because I had read a 9-book Star Wars series. I believe it was the Fate of the Jedi series. And I had nobody to talk about it with. Nobody with whom to talk about it. Whatever the proper sentence structure for that would be. So I decided to make a video. That's the first video that's on here. Talking about that, all 9 books in one video. And so after that, it was just kind of random. Things would pop into my head, and I thought, hey, I'll make a video about that. So there's also, I know Red Shirts by John Scalzi is pretty early. I don't know if that's the second one. And then I know I did a video about, I called it Lovecraft's Legacy, I think. I talked about the Edward Lee Lovecraft books. I talked about the Arkham Horror novels, which are still going strong. So different things like that. There were some game reviews. I realized that unless you have the proper setup, you need the cameras and things to do a really good game review, I think. And I'm just holding things up to the screen, which I don't think does a game, but board games, this is justice. So you're not seeing any more game reviews. There were some random movie reviews in there. I've tried different series 2 or 3 years in a row. I watched a horror movie every day in October and would do just a quick 5-minute video every day in October. And then after the second or third year, I just didn't have the time to watch the movies. It wasn't even about cranking out a quick video. I just didn't have the time to watch a movie every day. So that's done. I did 2 or 3 videos called Reading the Movie, I think is what I called it, where I would compare movie and the book that it was based on. I know I did Die Hard and Die Hard 2 and The Relic. And I feel like I might have done Logan's Run. If I didn't, I meant to. But again, that kind of fell by the wayside. I think there might be one video that I called the Casual Geek, which was actually a podcast that I wanted to do because I am absolutely a geek, obviously into horror, board games, comic books, sci-fi, fantasy-ish. And I want to talk about these things. I thought about, if I could find a co-host, I wanted to do this Casual Geek podcast and called the Casual Geek because I don't know if you're aware of it. There are some really hardcore fans of things out there. Some might call them toxic. And that's just not me. I just want to enjoy the stuff that I enjoy. I'm not signing petitions to remake the 3 most recent Star Wars in the Skywalker saga movies, or to remake season 8 of Game of Thrones, which I've never seen Game of Thrones, so why would I sign that petition anyway? But I absolutely don't think creators owe me anything. When you buy something or watch something, you're basically a gambler, and you take it or leave it. You don't go to Vegas and when you play blackjack and lose, you don't demand your money back. You're gambling. And that's the way it is I think, with books, movies, comic books. Unless you're going to the library and renting it or getting it for free. Our library used to charge like 50 cents per movie or something. But I don't think they do anymore. Or maybe it was just late fees. Anyway, if you're paying for a ticket, if you're buying the comic book at the store, buying a book, you're a gambler. You don't know if that book is going to be right for you, if it's going to be well done. You're taking your chances. You should know that. So complaining about it afterwards, demanding your money back, demanding that the creator makes changes is ridiculous and childish. Anyway, I don't know. See, this is just all off the top of my head. But the point was the Casual Geek, because I like to gush about the things I like. Occasionally, I hate to say complain, but point out the things that don't work for me. And again, if I buy a book by an author, I've taken that gamble. If I don't like it, chances are I'm not buying more by that author. If I'm buying a comic book and either I buy the first issue and it doesn't do anything for me, or I loved the first issue and I'm collecting the comic, but eventually the quality declines, I just stop buying it. I don't demand that the company make it the way I want it to be made. I'm a little more casual than that. But anyway, none of that came to fruition. There was no Casual Geek. So I started out on my old laptop, poor quality, and this is not the original, but I liked the idea that I was just doing low budget reviews. Nothing fancy at all. I had my little title card, which the original is gone. I don't know where it's at. So I had that, and I would just record my reviews originally, completely unedited. Eventually, I got a little fancier. I downloaded an editing program, and so I added a title sequence with music, and I would edit a little bit. I even tried eventually adding little title cards for each part of the video. Did that for a little while. And I would draw my reviews, or draw out my ratings, I should say. So here's one of the notebooks that I had these in. Initially, I started out with loose computer paper. I grabbed some printing paper and would draw on there. Those are gone somewhere. I don't know where they're at. But I ended up buying these, a couple of these, and I'll just show you. Like, this is one of my favorites. I think I did a pretty decent job. This is for a Christopher Golden book called, I think it's called Tin Men. It's been a while. And I gave it 5 out of 5. And I just went with robots because that had something to do with the story. So I would do something like this. 5 out of 5 robots for Tin Men. I just happen to like that drawing. And then I was flipping through this earlier. Now you're going to hear pages flipping. I do not remember what this is for. Maybe Tortures of the Damned by Hunter Shea. But this is one of the rare 6 out of 5 ratings. And I'm thinking Tortures of the Damned because I absolutely love that book. It's still probably my favorite Hunter Shea, and it does have rats in it. But yeah, so occasionally something would just blow me away, so I'd give it 6 out of 5, breaking the laws of mathematics. And then I'm trying to find something either older or, a lower review. Rarely I would do, when I was doing my nutshell of what the book is about, I would do these silly little sort of stick figure pictures. There's all the characters. So this was for Chuck Wendig's first Star Wars novel, Aftermath. I think the first one is just Aftermath. So there's a few things I would do that with. Tim Levin had a book called The Silence, which, I like to point out, came out before A Quiet Place. But where these animals would attack based on noise, so I wrote out my review. The whole thing was, well, there you go. I would hold this up for what I would hope was long enough for people to read, and the whole thing was like this. And there's pages and pages. And then I gave it my rating. And then I had my comments, questions, corrections. Please like, share, and subscribe. And then at the end, I had this. And so, I'm Eric Smith. Until next time. And then I said, read more books. Oh shit. And knocked my, holding on to it, but knocked my computer over as if I was being attacked by vesps. I had fun with that. I thought that was clever. Trying to find. Let's see. So, well, let me do this. I'll show you an example of something. Again, don't remember what this was, but I would draw them out and then color in basically what my rating was and have the outline for, so this is obviously 4.5 out of 5. And then at one point I had a 4 out of 5 and accidentally started coloring in number 5. So I had to cut the piece out. There's more stick figures. I'm trying to find a, well, here you go. Here's a, I don't remember what this is for, but it's a 2.5. So not everything was amazing. Now, there was a point where I was on some reviewer or some publishers' reviewers lists. So I would get books. Mainly Sam Hain. And the nice thing about that was they would send a list of everything they would have coming out in the next month or so, and I got to pick the ones that I was interested in. Didn't always pick the best stuff, but I stopped. I'm no longer on anybody's lists, and mainly there's two reasons for that. One, I didn't like the obligation of having to read and review something as quickly as possible, because I read what I'm in the mood for, and I might order something because I'm interested in it, and by the time I get it, it's not that I'm not interested in reading it still, but that's not what I'm in the mood for at the time. So didn't like that, and didn't like recording negative reviews, which we'll get to shortly. But and I've had the experience of I would review it. They were sent to me to review. I would review the book, give it 2.5, and literally was told, well, thank you. We're not going to use this review to promote our book. So I'm no longer on any lists. I've had people personally request, or I shouldn't say request, offer to send me digital copies or even physical copies, and I just don't take requests for reviews. Again, I'm reading what I want to read. I'm trying to share the things that I like. There are rare exceptions. Chris Sorensen's first book, The Nightmare Room, Hunter Shea sent him my way. I love Hunter Shea. He's a great guy. He's a great author. And he suggested Chris Sorensen contact me about his first book, The Nightmare Room. And I agreed to read it and review it, but I told him, at least for the first one, I said, I'll do it, but I'm going to buy my own copy. Which I did. I bought so The Nightmare Room, the Messy Man trilogy, I bought 2 of the 3. He did send me one of them. But again, that was an exception because Hunter Shea recommended I read it. And again, I bought my own copy of the book. But again, I don't like the obligation if someone asks me to review something or sends me something to review. It's not quite as bad if it's from a publisher, but when it's the person themselves, if I read it and hate it, I just feel bad about that. Because they've asked me to, which is different than if they ask me to like beta read or actually pre-publication want to know what my thoughts are, and I can directly speak to them and say, these are the problems that I have. Since I'm not a professional reviewer, I don't get paid for anything. I can do whatever I want. I don't have to review books I don't like. So now we're sort of circling back. What I want to do, because I am such a fan, and what I'm trying to do here is promote the things that I like. Someone commented relatively recently that they were turned off a little bit, for lack of a better way for me to put it, turned off a little bit by the fact that all my reviews seem to be positive. And again, that's because I'm trying to promote what I like. So if I read something I don't like, chances are I'm not going to review it, because why bother talking about it? Now, this all came up because I did a negative review on the Reanimator novelization, and I did that just to sort of let people know that it's just not a great book. I don't know if a lot of people who watch my videos are into novelizations. I used to be quite a long time ago. I've gotten back into it. You'll see more and more reviews of novelizations coming up. And I just felt that it was a very weak book for a movie that I absolutely love. So I wanted to get that out there. Sort of circling back a little bit. So I was doing these drawn out ratings. I had some editing, I had music, all this going on. And then I just got a little burnt out and just stopped doing anything for 2 or 3 years. I don't remember exactly how long it was. And before that, I had done a few interviews. I was writing for a short lived horror magazine. I meant to dig up some copies of it to show you, but I don't even remember the title of the magazine off the top of my head. But through different circumstances, I was writing some things for this magazine. I had an interview with Ray Garton. I did some reviews. I reviewed review-ish. Talked about like the board game Betrayal at House on the Hill. I had an article about splatterpunk. Wrote an article about books featuring exorcism and possession that aren't The Exorcist. But that one never came out because that issue never came out in print anyway. I think maybe they did a digital copy of it. But for them, they wanted to do stuff on YouTube. And so that was sort of the genesis of the low budget interview show. I interviewed Mike Lombardo and Hunter Shea. If you go back and look at those, which are on my channel, as well as I don't know if their channel even still exists. Horrible quality. It was, again, my old laptop, absolutely horrible quality. I actually did a third interview with Jonathan Jans that was so bad I couldn't even post it. Excuse me. So the quality was failing because my laptop was just so old and I was burnt out. I was just working way too many hours at my day job. So I stopped doing this for a while. Then the pandemic came around and I got a new computer. It's a Microsoft Surface Pro 7 and decided to start reviewing again, but go back to basics. And that is why we have the new title card in my wonderful handwriting. I no longer draw my ratings. I just do not have time for that. And I've tried to sort of at least create a regular schedule. So Monday and Friday are book reviews. I know I've missed a couple of Fridays. The last one was just because I forgot to post. I had reviews. It was just one of those weeks. I think it's when I was sick. And it completely, like, Friday came around and I was like, oh yeah, I never posted the video. So Monday and Friday are generally book reviews. Wednesday is reading remembrances, and I've added the comic book pull list. I don't remember why I initially did one of those videos, but a couple people said that I should keep doing them, and I get home from the comic book store, show you what I bought really quickly. That's it. They're simple. And they're not always on Wednesday because on those rare occasions I just don't get to the comic book store on a Wednesday. But I'll post it the day that I get to the comic book store. And now, of course, Thursdays, my favorite horror with, which I'd have to look to see how many episodes there actually are. I've posted one every Thursday since I started. And let's see, I have 2 more recorded and ready to go. I'm recording one later today. But after that, I have nothing in the works. So I can't guarantee. I don't know how people put out content like that every week. Craziness, interviews and things. But hopefully people are enjoying those. That sort of came out of the low budget interview show, which once I came back with the new computer and everything, I did a few more episodes of that. Excuse me, like Max Booth III, Jeff Strand, some others I don't remember. I believe Meg Hoftel and Kelly Florence were part of the low budget interview show first, before they did an episode of My Favorite Horror with. Same with Mary San Giovanni. But I was listening to Max Booth's podcast, Ghoulish. I don't remember which episode or which guest, but while I was listening to that, it just sort of hit me that I wanted to talk to creators about their favorite things in horror. So I was like, all right, I'm going to try this new thing. Let me talk to some people. I'm going to reach out. I'm going to try and get some people and see if I can get them on this sort of new show that I'm doing. And so far, everybody's been, almost everybody has been really receptive to it, really kind, really great guests. And I'm having fun. I get to sort of ask people the questions that I have about their work and about things. And then we get into what they like. They pick their favorite thing, whether it's a movie, book. We've had a video game or PC game. The one coming up is a director, is what we're going to be talking about. And I some people, I'm like, if you want to pick a board game or a comic book, it doesn't have to be a movie or a book. Movies are easiest for me because I can take an hour and a half, 2 hours to watch a movie in preparation. Books, a little more difficult. Not a lot of people have chosen them. One of the upcoming ones is a book I had read decades ago and didn't have time to reread. So, my memory of it, not that great. So especially if it's a book I haven't read, I'm going to need lead time to read it, or just have to rely on my guest to talk about it. What else? I feel like there were other things I wanted to say about this, but basically that's it, I guess. So if you're concerned that my reviews are 99% positive, it's because I'm talking about the things that I like. And I am by no means a professional. I have no training in this. Like I said, I just want to talk about books, and there are not a lot of people, IRL, as the kids say, that I can talk about this with. None of the people that I work with read. My family, with one exception, does not read the type of stuff that I read. Now, if we go all the way back to that very first video, Fate of the Jedi, that I did, I said I had nobody to talk to about that. So I made a video. Well, my nephew, Nate, I've mentioned him before on here, and my niece-in-law, Olivia, wonderful people, and Nate is now old enough that I can talk about these things with him. At the time I initially read that series, I don't even know if he was much of a reader back then, but he was way too young. He was just a kid. Just get out of here, kid, you bother me. But now he's in his 20s and reading, and we discuss books and movies and comics and things, and he'll make recommendations to me. I can make recommendations to him. I'm trying to get him on one of these shows that I do to talk about something or anything, but but he does not read as much as I do because he has a life, so I can't talk about everything with him. So again, I'm making these videos. I want to promote the authors I like. I want to promote the books I like. I'll occasionally, as in the case of Reanimator, maybe give sort of a warning video. This book might seem like it's going to be great, right up your alley, but there are some problems with it. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I'm just reading and making videos. Excuse me. I feel like there were other things that had popped into my head that I was going to say, but they popped right back out of my head, so who knows. I may, no promises, I may do another few um, like bookshelf videos. I recently did some rearranging and cleaning up, and so I don't have as many like Funko Pop figures and things in front of all of my books, so it'd be easier to do it because one of the things that kept me from doing more of those, I think I only did one, was that I would have to remove tons of stuff from in front of the books, do the video, then put it all back. Well, now a bunch of that stuff's gone, so it'd be easier for me to do the videos. Although this shelf is still, there's two piles of board games in front of this particular shelf, but those are easy to move. I can just push them across, push them out of the way. Anyway, I may get back to that. I don't know. I make no promises, except that we're going to have, except when I forget, those book reviews on Monday and Friday, reading remembrances on Wednesday, comic book poll list, as long as, I don't know, people don't tell me to just shut up about comic books. And when I can, as long as I can do it, a My Favorite Horror with on Thursdays, and then just random stuff like this, or unboxings, or book hauls. I could do a really serious book haul video, although all the new books have sort of dispersed into the places they're supposed to go, and I would have to pull them all off the shelves again. So maybe I won't be doing that. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, this has been just sort of a long, rambly, self-indulgent video, I suppose. It is not at all like the video I was watching on YouTube that sort of inspired me to do this, which was a if anybody wants to know the specifics of what the video was, we can talk about it down in the comments and I'll tell you, but I'll just say it was a a YouTuber responding to a thread that took a negative view towards their content. Mostly negative view. There were a few positive things, but they read, it's a 3-hour long video where they respond to every comment in this thread. I agree with some of the things this person says. I disagree with some of the things the person says. But it got me thinking about my own channel. And so I just thought I'd, throw this out there, see what people think. If I don't see any major changes coming to this. I make no money from it. I do it because I love books and I like talking about books. Maybe I just like talking. The sound of my own voice. So I don't have, in this video that sort of inspired, the video I was watching, that sort of inspired this one, there's a lot of talk. That's his job. YouTube is his job. And so I can understand where he feels the need, understand-ish, where he feels the need to respond to people and sort of defend what he does. I don't have to do that because this isn't my job. This is a hobby. I'm just trying to have fun, trying to maybe turn people on to some good authors, some good books. And I guess the one thing to say, the one thing to say after half an hour of talking, I do watch a lot of board game reviews, but I'm not watching them for the reviewer's opinion of the game as much as I am just to learn more about the game. I can go to the game shop and look on the back of the box and read what the publisher of the game has said the game is. I'm saying the words the game a lot. So I like to watch either a playthrough or just a review, because most reviews will at least go over how the game is played, and that way I can learn a little bit more about whether or not it's the right game for me, or something I at least want to try out, or if it's worth the price point, because there's some expensive games. And I think for the most part, I think book reviews, movie reviews are kind of the same thing. Now, if you find a reviewer who you agree with 100%, you've watched their reviews, you've checked out the stuff, or maybe already even read the stuff that they've read, or movies they've watched, whatever, and you find you've agreed 100%, then sure, take their review, the review part of whatever they're saying, into account and say, all right, well, they liked it. Chances are, 99.9% chances are I'm going to like it too, because I agree with everything. But I think maybe, and maybe I'm not the best person for this, but maybe just watch the review to learn a little bit more about what the book is and if it interests you. Which again kind of goes towards my, most of what I have to talk about is positive things I like, because again, I'm trying to promote that. But don't necessarily take that part. Maybe just listen to what I say the book is about, which is where I might be weakest, and see if it interests you. Or do whatever you want. I'm not your boss, but that's that's the way I've always looked at reviews. Is tell me more about the product, whether or not you like it, and I'm you as in the reviewers, doesn't mean as much to me. I just want to learn a little bit more about it, which is different than blurbs. I have bought plenty of books simply because an author that I like blurbed it. Hypocritical? Maybe. But sometimes that's how you find new books, and sometimes they've been great, sometimes they haven't, which is why used bookstores are great. If I buy something and I don't like it, I can take it to a used bookstore and get 2 cents on the dollar for it. Anyway, all right. I think that's it. I glanced up at the clock, and normally all my videos post at noon, but since it's already a couple minutes after, this is going to post slightly later than noon. Doesn't matter. It's a random Sunday video. All right, I'm done rambling. So, if you have any comments or questions or corrections, please put them in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. I don't know what we would spoil since I'm not actually reviewing anything. But, if we are going to get into some weird spoiler territory, if you know my future and plan on spoiling it, post a spoiler warning. We try to be polite here on my channel. Please like, share, and subscribe, all that YouTube stuff. If you care to follow me on other social media, my Twitter is @Ronin5757. My Instagram, where I post pictures of books, comic books, board games, and fuzzy animals, is ErikSmith5757. That's Eric with a K, ERIKSMITH5757. That's it for this rambling, self-indulgent video. Please chime in below. I'm Erik Smith. Until next time, read more books.